Hey internet friends, boy have I got a story for you guys today that leads up to my adventures with the game XAOC. So for starters, let me go over the game XAOC a little. XAOC, or Zentra Alpha Org, is a Chinese MMORPG that came out back in 2013. My first experience with XAOC actually began with its unveiling back around 2009, 2010-ish, when it was going to be part of a series known as Heroine Anthem. Which leads me back around to the beginning of my story. So back in the early 2000s, I randomly came across this Chinese game called Heroine Anthem on some random media website, and I fell in love with the look of the game. The art style was really cool looking to me, and everything about the style and direction of it seemed amazing. After a few years of searching around, I was finally able to acquire the game and play it myself, and I continued to fall in love with it even further. After playing the two Heroine Anthem games, I did my best to keep up with the developer and what sort of things they have been involved in. Over the years, Wing King Entertainment's art facility has been involved in projects such as Terra, Darksiders, Saints Row, and Alice Madness Returns, but at their roots, they worked on the Heroine Anthem series. Around 2010-ish, they had shown off bits of a game that at the time was called Project C, and was suspected in being an online continuation to the Heroine Anthem series. Eventually some time passed and the title was changed to XAOC, and eventually it became its own thing. Despite not being part of the Heroine Anthem series, my love for the game remained the same. I participated in the closed beta back in 2013, up until they no longer allowed people outside of China to play. And ever since then, I had hoped for a release available to the Western market. So in late 2017, that wish was finally granted, and I couldn't have been more excited about it. So on that note, let me talk a bit about the actual game. So the combat in XAOC plays like an extremely rigid version of Terra or Revelation Online. The biggest catch though is that you can equip up to 3 different weapons to use in battle, depending on the situation, and change between them freely in combat. It's a really fun system to play around with, and although it takes some getting used to, it's probably one of the biggest reasons I stuck with the game for so long. I guess actually before I dive too much further into this, I should mention that the game is still at this point completely in Chinese, unfortunately. I have, however, played enough MMORPGs in my life that I had very little issue with the language barrier up until around level 50. At level 50, I eventually finished up a bunch of different things and came to a point where I no longer could figure out where to go next. After spending several hours taking random boats and random bird-in-a-jar teleports until I eventually ran out of options, I had to give up on the game. It was an incredibly tragic ending to my experience with the game, but after over 250 hours of playing the game, I feel like I definitely got way more fun out of the game than you would expect from a game that costs $3. That isn't to say, though, that this game had a number of problems with it. Probably the most common of them being the textures for basically everything not loading in correctly. There was definitely a number of times that I had to literally guess where the floor was because I would just be walking around in completely empty space. The other big issue I had to deal with was the questing process. Sometimes the questing process did get a bit monotonous, as there was mostly just 2 types of quest: kill X number of enemies or pick up X number of items on the ground. There was also an annoying third type of quest that was basically hold Z and hope it actually did something to complete the quest, because there was never really any other indication on what to do since the game was entirely in a language I know literally nothing about. Despite these 2 issues, I had very little complaints about the game. It was incredibly fun despite the language barrier, and exploring was pretty cool. There were quite a number of cutscenes as you advanced the story, and the dungeons were very engaging once I could figure out what to do in them to advance through them. Unfortunately though, I didn't have anyone to play with, so most of my dungeoning experience was done solo, and a few levels higher than the intended level to be when I got around to doing them. Overall, I definitely enjoyed my experience with XAOC, and I'm a little sad and bitter about having to end my journey, but it's one I am glad I was finally given the opportunity to take a part in after waiting so many years to experience this game. Thanks everyone for watching this video. If you'd like to keep up with the MMO Quest series, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Also be sure to check out my Twitch TV stream at twitch.tv/rudyxx to keep up with my other shenanigans live. And until next time everyone, happy gaming!